What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of BreBre Talks MMA. That's such a big fight. So if Paulo Costa pulls out, I mean, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? How are they going to save that co-main event? All right, Dawson versus Green. This was not what I expected to happen, guys. This is not what I expected. Wow. Bobby Green knocks out Grant Dawson in 33 seconds. I don't know what to think anymore, guys. I don't know what to think. The sport, man. The sport. Yeah, you can't really stand with Bobby Green. It's tough. Unless you're like a striker, unless you have an advantage on the feet. He's just really difficult to deal with on the feet. He's so tricky. Him being a southpaw too, I think that has a lot to do with it. Like, not only is he a southpaw, but he also fights with his hands down, and he's just very, very unique. I can't think of another person in the UFC that has, it's kind of like Sean Strickland. It's like, can you think of another person that has the same style? Not really. But then they're also so experienced that they're dangerous everywhere. I haven't really heard anything from Grant yet. We'll probably hear something from him soon about, what his plans are for the next fight in the future. But I think he'll be back. I think Grant will be back for sure. He's got a lot of talent. He's still young. So it's like a lot of fighters have gone through exactly what he's going through. Charles Oliveira did. Charles Oliveira got knocked out. So, I think he'll bounce back. It's just a bump in the road. I mean, you got to realize, though, the win streak that he was on, he was undefeated in the UFC before this. So the win streak he was on was just incredible. And the level of talent that he's been facing, he's got a lot of potential, and just his skill level in wrestling. I think maybe if he can get his striking maybe even a touch better, I think that he will be unstoppable because his wrestling is just that good. And I wish, sometimes it's frustrating when a fighter is so good in one area and then, they make a mistake or they get caught, and then it just like completely, like, you don't even get to see what they actually, what they actually can do. So it's frustrating because I really am excited about Grant. I was hoping he was going to win that fight, just to see him continue to level up in his career. But you know what? Sometimes a loss is a good thing for a fighter. They learn from it. And maybe he'll go on a huge win streak again, bounce back, get a win in his next fight, and then get some momentum going. And who knows, maybe he'll be fighting for a title. I think he's still I think eventually he will still fight in a title fight. I do believe that. I really do think that Grant has what it takes. But yeah, I mean, things happen. You get caught, especially early in the fight. We see that all the time where a fighter just gets caught, somebody who, normally maybe wouldn't. So yeah, I mean, I just think Bobby's such a tough guy to prepare for. I think that's a hard fight for anybody. Just because it's so much unknown, Now, Islam did really well against Bobby Green because Islam Makhachev is really, I think, more known for his striking. I thought that was kind of Islam's thing. So, and I think Islam is a better striker than Bobby Green in some ways. Just because he does have like really good defense, striking defense, and he has really high striking accuracy too. Islam Makhachev does. But anyways, we'll get into the fights. I do want to talk about the main event a little bit more, because it was just such a surprise. I mean, I think a lot of people were surprised. I think it messed up a lot of people's parlays, and it was the last thing I was expecting. So. But that's MMA. Anything can happen in this sport. That's why I love it. It's things like this happen and you're like, what is going on? I thought for sure Grant was going to dominate that fight. But again, Bobby is so unpredictable, so you never know. The prelims, there were some good fights in the prelims. It was mostly decisions on this card, not a lot of knockouts or finishes. There was only 4 finishes on the card. So, yeah, interesting. But good fights nonetheless. JJ Aldrich, she kicked off the card, defeated Montana De La Rosa by decision. Happy to see her get a win. I've been a fan of hers for a little while now. Arisha Lang defeated Johnny Munoz. That was another decision win. And then Vanessa Demopoulos, she defeated Kanako Murata by decision. I thought they were going to give it to Murata. I don't know. I'd have to watch it again. Like I said, I don't like to call it a robbery if I've only seen the fight once, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't notice this, or I missed something. I'm not a judge. But I was surprised. I thought they were going to give it to Murata. So I don't know. I guess, yeah, I haven't really seen what everybody else has said about it. I don't know if people are in agreement with my opinion on it. But yeah, I was surprised. I was a little surprised, but it was a good fight. And then Nate Maness, he defeated Mateus Mandoka, via knockout. I think that was in the second round. That was a good performance. Carolina defeated Diana Belbita. So that was a close fight. It was a good fight. It was fun. Kind of back and forth, but I thought Carolina won. In my opinion, I wasn't surprised when she got the decision, but it was a close fight. Yeah, there were some memes going around about that fight that were kind of funny. Yeah, it was like the battle of the baddies, I guess. Seems like every MMA fan has a crush on both of those fighters, which is funny. I don't know. I guess at least people are watching women's MMA. Jeez. Some of the comments I see about women's MMA, I'm like, geez, we need to get better. We need to be better as a fan base. Come on. Oh God, MMA fans just make me laugh sometimes. Main card. Bill Algeo defeated Alex Hernandez. Yeah, that's rough to see Alex lose another fight. Yeah, that's tough. Bill Algeo looked great, though. He looked incredible. That was a really good performance. He pretty much dominated Alex Hernandez. I mean, it was a decision, but it was a very strong decision win for Bill Algeo. So, yeah, that was a good fight. And that was at featherweight. So Alex Hernandez is fighting at featherweight now. He moved down from 155. So, yeah. Not sure what's next for him. And then Drew Dober defeated Ricky Glenn via knockout. That was probably, besides Bobby Green, probably my favorite performance of the night. Obviously, I've been a fan of Drew Dober for a long time. Drew Dober is a dog. He's got hands. He really does. He packs a lot of power. I hope that he can, string together some more wins. I hope he can keep doing this, because if he can string together a few wins, if it lines up, if the stars align, I really would like to see him fight like a Michael Chandler or a Justin Gaethje. I think both of those fights would be really fun. Yeah. I mean, he's an OG. He's been in the UFC for a while. He's been doing MMA for a while. So, yeah, I would love to see him with Michael Chandler or Gaethje, one of the I guess more brawlers of the division. I think that would just be fight of the night material. Yeah. So Drew Dober is awesome. And his new baby was there to see him get that win. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about bringing babies to fights. I feel like as long as you win, it's okay. I think it's okay, but I don't know. That's crazy. That is so wild that people do. If I had kids, I don't know if I would want to bring my kids to a fight. I don't know. I guess I would want them to see me win, though. That would be cool, but it's I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. If you were a fighter, would you bring your kid to a fight to see you fight? I don't know if I would. I don't know. I don't have kids, though. The next fight was Joaquin Buckley and Alex Morono. So Joaquin Buckley won by decision, and this was a good performance from Buckley. Kind of showed that Mercy pressure. He's training at Mar-a-Lago, and Max Choriev trains there as well, and he just got a win, and Buckley just got a win. So good to see that they've got they're stringing together some momentum, and I think that's a good thing. I think they're doing some great things there, it seems like. So I'm excited to see what's next for Buckley. I do like him at welterweight. I think his power hits different at welterweight. I think it just makes sense. I think Buckley at welterweight makes way more sense than him at middleweight, in my opinion. I thought he wasn't really that undersized for middleweight because he was still like pretty muscular, but, yeah, I don't know. I do think that there's some tall middleweights. That's the thing, and if you get matched up with one of them, it's just, yeah. So yeah, I definitely like him better at welterweight. Same with Kelvin Gastelum. He just moved down to welterweight as well. So, yeah, glad to see him having some success in his new weight class. That's awesome. And he's from St. Louis. So, of course I got to shout out my St. Louis people. And then Joe Pyfer in the co-main defeated Abdul Al-Hassan via submission. Yeah, this was a great performance. I was really excited about Joe Pyfer. I think he's got a really bright future. He's 12-2 now. And he's on a win streak. He's on a 5-fight win streak right now. So yeah, that's good. I don't know what I want to see from him next. I think, yeah, they'll just figure it out. No need to really rush his career, but I do think that he's got a lot of potential. He's only 27. Yeah, we don't need to rush it at all with him. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the future for Joe Pyfer. He looked incredible, so it'll be interesting to see what he does next. And then, of course, getting to the main event, Bobby Green versus Grant Dawson. Bobby Green ended up knocking Grant Dawson out in 33 seconds. Yeah, like I said, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that at all. I was expecting Grant Dawson to completely dominate this fight, and that is not what happened. That is not what happened at all. Yeah. I don't know what's next for Bobby Green. Let's talk about that first. I think Bobby Green next should probably fight Dan Hooker. He called for that fight in his post-fight interview, and I agree. I really do think that's a good fight. Can you guys imagine? That would be fight of the night material right there. Cause Hooker, remember his fight with Poirier? I mean, he's a dog. They're both dogs. So that would be a fun fight. Yes, please. But Renato Moicano also called him out. And I haven't seen if Dan Hooker responded to Bobby yet, so I don't know what's going on with that. But I know that Bobby Green did call him out. And Renato Moicano called out Bobby Green because he wants to avenge that loss for his teammate. They both train at American Top Team. So he wants to go in there and make a revenge run. And I like it. I love a revenge run. So I wouldn't be mad at either one. Bobby Green versus Renato Moicano. That's a good fight. I'm down for it. Bobby Green versus Dan Hooker. I love that too. So yeah, I think the better matchup for Bobby Green is probably Hooker, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the matchmakers decide. We'll see what Bobby Green wants to do, how soon he wants to get back in there. See what Dan Hooker has to say. I don't know. Wasn't Dan Hooker injured in his last fight? I don't know how long ago that was, though. But I'm pretty sure he was injured. So, yeah. Fight announcements. So, there were some pretty big fights announced recently. Michel Pereira versus Andre Petroski. That was announced. It was supposed to be Michel Pereira versus Marc-Andre Barriault. So, Barriault pulled out. I don't remember why. But yeah, so Michelle Pereira versus Andre Petroski is the new fight for October 14th, which is this Saturday. The main event is Yusuf versus Barboza, and that fight is at 185. I want to say Michelle Pereira used to fight he used to fight at 170. He missed weight against Wonder Boy, so he's fighting at 185 now, I guess. But yeah, he was supposed to fight Barry Alt. Barry Alt, I believe, is coming off a win against Eric Anders. I think that was the last time I saw him fight. Unless I missed something, but yeah, so that's a interesting fight. Andre's a wrestler. Michelle Pereira is a capoeira guy. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting matchup there. Not sure what I think about it yet. I'll have to go back and rewatch Michelle Pereira's most recent fight and just kind of see what I think. Because Andre Petroski, he's coming off a decision win to Gerald Meerschaert. Yeah, that'd be interesting. And then Brad Katona versus Garrett Armfield. This fight was announced for the January 20th card. They're doing a card in Canada. So I'm really excited for this card, and I'm excited for this fight. This fight's going to be a banger. This is going to be a fight of the night for sure. Brad Katona is an absolute dog. Garrett Armfield has incredible boxing, really good strike. He's been kickboxing, competing since he was like 7 years old. So he's got incredible striking. But he's got good wrestling too. Like if you watch some of his fights from when he was on more like the local shows and regional circuit, he's got some incredible grappling too. So yeah, I'm really excited for that fight. I would think it would kind of be a stand-up battle. That might turn into like a 3-round war. I don't know. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be a really, really good fight. Garrett Armfield, he's from St. Louis, so of course I got to root for him. But it's going to be a fun fight. I'm hoping to see him get another win because, if he wins this fight, that's huge for him. That's going to be just another step in the right direction with moving up in, what's a really, really tough division at bantamweight. But I think he's got a lot of talent, so I'm excited to see what's next for him. And then Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. That is another fight on that Canada card, January 20th. This is a featherweight fight, so I don't know what to think about this one. Arnold Allen versus Evloev. So the first thing that comes to my mind is, okay, well, this is good for the division because this means that maybe we'll get to see Brian Ortega versus Bryce Mitchell. Because everybody was kind of thinking that Bryce Mitchell or Brian Ortega were going to fight Arnold Allen next, and neither of them are fighting him. It's Evloev. So that's an interesting fight, actually. I don't know who I would lean toward in that fight. I think I would probably lean toward Evloev, but I don't know. Arnold Allen is really, really good. So we'll see. We shall see, but that's a fun fight. I'm excited. So Ikram Aliskerov is fighting Warley Alves, who the name, it doesn't really seem like a big name, and he's really not, but believe it or not, he has a win over Colby Covington. But the interesting thing about this fight's at middleweight, so he used to fight at welterweight. He's coming off a loss to Nicholas Dalby, and this fight, like I said, it's on that October 21st pay-per-view card, the one in Abu Dhabi. I don't know what I think about this fight. I would think Aliskerov. I'm still going to keep my pick. Going with Aliskerov on this one still. But so I don't know what's going on with Paulo Costa, but he just had elbow surgery. That's such a big fight. So if Paulo Costa pulls out, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? How are they going to save that co-main event? Every time Paulo Costa is in a co-main event, we need a backup. Because honestly, I feel like that is just a really big co-main event. So they've got to find a replacement for Hamzat if Paulo pulls out. Who's going to take that fight on short notice? That's the thing. I don't know. Okay, first question from Dawson Huell. Who's next for Bobby Green? Well, I just kind of talked about this. I think that Bobby Green should fight, Dan Hooker or Renato Moicano. But I would probably rather see him fight Dan Hooker. I just think matchup-wise, that's a good matchup. Next question. Oh, and then I kind of forgot to talk about Grant Dawson. I don't know how I missed that. So Grant Dawson, what's next for him? That's tough. So the lightweight division is such a mess right now because literally I feel like half the top 15 trains at American Top Team. Seriously, go look at the top 15 of lightweight and look how many fighters are training at American Top Team. It's wild. So I don't know. What do you do with Grant Dawson after this? I think maybe you give him like the winner of Ferguson versus Pimblett. Honestly, because if Tony wins, I like that fight. I like Grant Dawson versus Tony Ferguson. It's another OG, but I don't think, like, yeah, Tony is hard to prepare for, but I just think that would be a more competitive fight for sure than Green versus Dawson. Like, I don't think Tony's going to knock out. Like, if Tony beats him, I don't think it's going to be like a first round knockout like that. Okay, next question. Was curious, how do you like to prepare for interviews with new and up-and-coming fighters? This question is from Forrest_Reed. Yeah, I like to really just kind of figure out what I want to talk about with the guest. So most of my interviews are usually at least an hour long, so they're a little bit longer. I don't really do a whole lot of like short interviews. It's more of like a conversation, I guess. But yeah, I try to figure out things about the fighter that we can talk about. So if there was a certain, like with, I'm trying to think of examples. So, okay, an interview, the first fighter interview I ever did actually was Don Brooks, and he's a pro fighter. Obviously, you know, he's not in the UFC or anything, but he's a pro fighter, and he actually played football before. So he went from football to MMA. So that was kind of one thing that I wanted to talk about with him. And then also just kind of talking to him about the behind the scenes of fighting more. You know, like, it's different when you're talking to fighters who fight as a career, and then also fighters who, like, they have a full-time job and they have to kind of balance fighting with. So I usually try to find, you know, what are some interesting aspects about this fighter other than, okay, let's talk about your upcoming fight. Let's talk about your last performance. Like, you know, kind of trying to make it more about them, like their story. I think that's important. I think a lot of fighters, they want to tell their story. So I'll kind of just figure out, like, what is their story? And, you know, what are some things that make them unique? What are some things that people might want to hear about? You know, like when Keith Richardson came on, we talked about his, you know, him losing his dad very soon before the fight, balancing coaching with, you know, running a gym and fighting, balancing everything, and, you know, the difference between bare knuckle boxing and MMA. All right, guys, you ready to have some fun? So there's a clip that's been going around the internet. I've seen it like 4 times today already, and I shared it to my story because I love it. But I want to watch the full clip because I remember this episode. This was a great episode of Theo Von's podcast. If you haven't seen This Past Weekend, what are you doing with your life? Like, I love Theo Von's podcast. It's such a good like, people don't understand. It's such a good podcast. I've been listening to it for a long time. So, like, pretty much since he started it, because I was already a fan of his comedy before. But yeah, so Theo Von describes seeing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the first time. That's the name of the clip. So we're going to watch it right now. I'm going to react to it because I haven't watched like the full clip. I've just watched it's like a short clip that's going around the internet. But the full clip is like 4.5 minutes long. I've seen the full episode, but it's been a long time. I think this is an older episode that just kind of resurfaced. So it's kind of funny. But I remember this. There's a lot of good clips from this episode, honestly. Theo Von. Gotta love Theo Von.
But we went to the Dustin Poirier, a fighter, and he's a Louisiana fighter. And he fights other men for title belts and acclaim and championships. And he took me to just a place where they were doing some practicing. They were sparring and rolling. And man, I didn't realize what an experience it was at this place. You know, these people paired off, and next thing you know, they're going against each other, but each interaction is really just more of an experience to help the weaker one learn. And when I say weaker, I mean whoever is weaker in whatever skill set they are practicing. So it's kind of like, you know, watching, this was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I thought that was a dog when I first heard about it.
Jiu-jitsu.
I was like, damn, you got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? How old is it? But it's a sport, and it's an athletic sport, and it's one of the most cavalier type of sports. Because it's two men, it's two, you know, and some of them are beautiful men. And some of them look like they could be modeling, you know, or definitely they got some real legs on them, some of them. And, I mean, damn, the backstrap on a couple of these boys would make me fucking fire up the grill, God. You know? Make daddy want to eat, you damn man. But anyway, what I'm saying is that they get out there and they get in these different predicaments. And one of them will be in front of the other one, or one of them sometimes will be on the other one's kind of rear. Like one of them trying to hide like one of them trying to protect a little raspberry and the other one trying to get that berry. And so it's very intricate. They try to be sneaky and sneak around each other. And it's almost like they're trying to, it's like they're both looking for something, but neither one of them has it, but they're kind of pretending like the other one has it. I can't explain it really, but it's like chess. They kind of use their bodies to, you know, doing leverage, and it's like two dudes massaging each other really extremely fast and aggressively and in unique places. And sometimes one of them can't handle the massage and he'll tap out. It's God. But it really blew my mind on just the skill sets that went into this Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I just wrote it down.
The way he says jiu-jitsu.
It just blew my mind. Just watching them. You know, there's just so much. I could see how every time you do it, you're learning at a core mental level. It seemed very tribal to me. It was awesome. It was a really, really unique experience, and it was inspiring. And I'm glad I went in and saw people do this, because I've never seen this before. Imagine seeing something. Now imagine
this clip from?
Not seeing it. That was me. I'd never seen this type of activity. So to see people, you know, and young men in there, I mean, everybody was just sweating and just fired up. But it was never aggression against each other. It was almost it was just a group learning that was going on. I found it a really, really, it was awesome, man. It was awesome. It was a good experience. Good evening, good afternoon, and other times. God. Thanks for watching that video you just saw. I mean, it was okay. But the next video you could watch could be way better. What if you watch a video right now that changes your life? Well, you could. Watch this one. Oh.
I've never seen someone who makes so little sense and so much sense at the same time. Theo Von, it's like I can't tell, is he a genius? I think he might be a genius. It's so funny. Theo Von is so funny. He's probably one. Everybody knows I love Theo Von. Yeah, Theo Von is adorable. Make you want to kick a fat kid at Kmart. Theo Von on Joe Rogan was one of my favorite moments ever. on a podcast. That was so funny. Just, Theo really thought he was onto something. He's like, you ever feel like the wind is trying to tell us something? Oh my God. Theo, marry me. We should get Theo Von commentary. Can we get Theo Von to do commentary? Like maybe Contender Series or something. Like remember Snoop Dogg did commentary on the Contender Series? It would have to be with DC. Maybe DC, Theo, and who else do you put in there? Theo, Dominic, and DC. Or just put John Anik in there. Or get Theo on a fight companion. Get him on a Joe Rogan fight companion. That'd be fun. All right, guys. Well, that's all I got for you today. Not a super, super long episode, but it's a fight night, so not as much to cover. I didn't do a deep dive like I did last week. Sorry. I will probably continue doing those pay-per-view deep dives. So next pay-per-view, I'll probably do another episode like that. But I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm just going to do recap of Yusuf versus Barboza this weekend. And then fights coming up. Besides that, we've got Keith Richardson. His fight in BKFC is coming up on October 20th, so make sure to tune into that one. He is fighting Reggie Barnett for the BKFC Bantamweight title, so definitely make sure to tune into that one. I know that fight's coming up, and then October 14th, that's Yusuf versus Barboza. Trying to think if there's anything else this week or next week besides that. Obviously, well, we've got Bare Knuckle coming up, but it's not quite there yet. It's not till November. Bare Knuckle MMA, Game Bred FC. So that's coming up. They just announced a bunch of fights for that one. Joe Penafil's on the card again, so that'll be another fight of the night, I'm sure. Yeah, so we've got a lot of fights coming up, but but the more pressing ones, I guess the sooner ones that are coming up, October 20th, Keith Richardson, BKFC, I will be watching that one for sure, and I will do a breakdown of that card as well. All right, guys, well, thank you for watching another episode. I hope that you enjoyed this, and please subscribe if you like the content. I've got a lot more content on the way. I drop these episodes every single Wednesday, so make sure to tune in. Make sure to check me out on Instagram and follow me at Bre.Eckert, and you can follow my podcast page at BreBre Talks MMA. Make sure to give this video a like, leave a comment for the algorithm, and please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that way you don't miss any more of my content. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Bye.